besties, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a spring TBR. I kind of got a taste for TBR videos when I did my priority TBR for the year. I posted that in January and I just thought, why not do this seasonally? So this is going to be kind of a cross between sharing the books that I'm going to be reading as well as revealing vlog plans to you all. I normally keep those under wraps, but I thought it might be fun to just give you some insights into some of the books that I'm reading for vlogs, as well as maybe just like books that I want to read for fun, some new releases, all that jazz. And so you're gonna get a little sneak peek. It's gonna be a little exclusive moment if you watch this video. Also, if you stay until the end, I will be revealing my unconventional TBR jar that I'm gonna be using for a video. So the first two books are anticipated releases for spring. First we have The Court of Wanderers by Rinji Pico. This is the sequel to Silver Under Nightfall and I am so excited for it. This is a historical fantasy vampire series that's following a vampire hunter named Remy. In the first book, he had to partner up with some royal vampires to kind of slay some weird monsters, and there was a little bit of a polyamorous moment going on. And so I'm very excited for the sequel because this is the finale. It is only a duology, and so this is going to close up the series. I am a little nervous because I saw on Goodreads that it's not getting the best reviews right now. Like only like 100 reviews have come in so far, but there are people who've had arcs and they have not been saying great things. I haven't read any spoilers, but the first book was so great. I'm hoping that I just go against the grain and I enjoy it. I am not a stranger to doing that. I have many books that I love that other people don't love. If you are in the mood for vampires, I highly recommend that you pick up the first book because it is so good. It's basically Castlevania in book form, and if that sounds good to you, you have to read it. You have to read it. The action sequences, amazing. The romance, amazing. The fantasy aspects, they're just amazing. And all the historical stuff, it's so good. That's coming out on April 2nd. And then the second book that I'm excited about is actually coming out on May 14th, and that is The Honey Witch. I've seen this on a couple of people's channels. A couple of people have been talking about this. I actually don't know what it's about. I just really like the cover. And it says witch, and it looks cozy. I've been hearing that it's cozy fantasy. Like I think I saw it on both Riley and Kayla's channels. Like they mentioned it in some anticipated releases. And I honestly just wrote it down because it sounded very sweet and good. And I was thinking if this book ends up being good, that maybe I will put it in my poll for my book club because I have a book club with my Patreon. So I typically try to wait with new releases because we had a mishap in October where we read the new Ashley Winstead and we all hated it. So I've been doing this thing where when a book comes out, I'll wait. And so maybe in the month of June, this could be our June book club pick, but we'll have to wait and see what the girlies are saying. But I am still really excited about it. I genuinely don't know what it's about. I probably should have prepped for this video. I promise I'll know the plot of every other book. Speaking of my Patreon book club, we can go ahead and talk about what I'm reading for that. So for the month of March, we're reading Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. This is an urban fantasy series that takes place in London, and it's centering on Greta Van Helsing, and she obviously is a descendant of the Van Helsings, and she's a doctor specifically for supernatural creatures. So she treats like vampires and banshees and werewolves and all that stuff. But that is our March book club pick. And then we're also doing a series read along of the Greenbone Saga by Jane, I almost said Jane Fonda. That's not her name. Fonda Lee. The first book obviously being Jade City. We actually have 2 months to read this. So we have March and April. Because these books are very chunky, this read along is going to take 6 months. So I'm excited to read this. I also don't super know what this is. I promised I would know the plot of every book, and then I realized that I don't fully know what Jade City is about. I know it is high fantasy and it's about like a crime family, and Jade is probably involved. I lied when I said I would know what every single book was about. I don't. Moving on and getting into some video plans that I may reveal to you. First one being, I wanted to find the ugliest book covers I could find. I went to Half Price Books in person and I searched the shelves looking at book covers, just being like, what book covers are ugly? But then I also read the synopsis, so it was like kind of a weird challenge of like, I had to think that the cover was ugly, but I also had to think that the synopsis sounded good because I basically want to put judging a book by its cover to the test. And so one of the books that I found, I'm not going to tell you the entire TBR for the video, but I'll tell you one of the books. It is Lord of the Fading Lands by C.L. Wilson. This is an urban fantasy series. I just had a moment where I realized I also don't know what this is about. I am such a liar. I'm such a liar. I literally told you I would know. But anyway, we can read the back of it. Once he had loved with such passion, his name was legend. Now 1,000 years later, a new threat calls him from the fading lands back into the world that had cost him so dearly. As the power of his most bitter enemy grows, the ancient alliance crumble. The wilderness is in his blood. It will not be denied. The Terran must claim his true mate and embrace the destiny woven for him in the midst of time. I don't know. It just looks like one of those urban fantasies that I felt like would be a good time. I don't know. This cover though, can we talk about it? This is an ugly cover. I also want to say that the challenge of finding ugly book covers is actually harder than you think, because a lot of times you might already know about a book, because there was a lot of stipulations for me picking this out. I needed to, number one, never have heard of it, so that I'm not like just picking it because I know that it's bad despite its cover, because obviously something like the Mindfuck series I know is really good, but the cover of that, it's over there on my shelf, I don't want to get off, the cover is very ugly, and so like that's a great example. I'm obviously gonna have to workshop on how I explain this video concept because I'm doing a horrible job right now. So when the actual vlog comes out, just know that it will be a little more streamlined when I talk about this book and everything. Okay, then obviously for the opposite video concept, which was a lot easier, I am going to be reading books that I found really beautiful, that I just bought them based on covers. So I actually went on Pango Books and just kind of looked through, like swiped through like all the things on the main page and just picked random things, and I found this. This is actually a new release, but I loved the cover. I thought that the snake and the bird, they were just giving. It just really caught my eye. I just really liked it. Okay, and then 2 more videos that I have planned I'm really excited for, and I know that you guys are gonna be excited for them as well because most of you are subscribed to me because of them, and that is my romance subgenre videos. So the next subgenre that I'm gonna be doing is actually Amish romance. I don't actually want to reveal what I'm reading for that just yet because that video is supposed to come out at the end of this month, and I believe one of the authors, her name is Beverly Lewis. Apparently she is a queen among the Amish romance authors. She has written like so many of them. But then I will share with you another book that I'm reading for an unhinged romance. I'm actually going to be visiting Riley Marie at her house, and we're going to be filming a collab. So she's actually going to be sitting down with me, and we're going to be doing forbidden romance. And so I actually bought this copy a while ago. It is Distorted by Nyla K. I bought a physical copy so that I can like annotate it. But basically this is a forbidden romance between a prison guard and a prisoner, and it is a gay romance. I actually don't think I've ever read a gay, no, actually I did for Omegaverse. I thought I had read a gay romance, but I have. I need to read a lesbian romance. I need to find one of those whenever I do these subgenres. But anyway, Nyla K is best known for writing a different forbidden romance about a stepfather and his stepsons that are like underage, and that book's actually banned on a lot of platforms, but I didn't really want to read that. That one kind of gave me the ick. I think I've had my fill of underage kids, especially when I did the taboo romance before. I won't reveal what Riley is reading just yet, but just know that that video will probably come out in April. So you'll have 2 romance videos to look forward to. We've got the Amish romance, and then we've got the forbidden romance. Coming very soon, I have another video where I read popular books to see if they're worth the hype, and I kind of have a sequel theme for that video because in the month of March we've been doing a readathon on my Patreon called Slay That Series. If you're an OG Sarah Without an H subscriber, you might remember Slay That Series because I've done that readathon a couple of times on my channel, like way back in the day. I think like 2015, 2016, and so I brought it back on Patreon. And so the whole month of March we're kind of focusing on series. Some of them are for that video that's coming up where I read hyped sequels and I just kind of see if they're good, and then some of them are just ones that I want to read this month. First one being Iron Widow. I actually think I'm going to read this one exclusively on Patreon because my patrons have been asking for spoiler vlogs. This is following a girl whose sister gets murdered, because in this world I guess there's people who fight in these big robot suits and they have concubines that are in there with them, and they're kind of like, I don't know, they work with them, and her sister ends up getting killed. And so she decides to train to become one of these concubines so that she can kill the guy that got her sister killed. From my understanding, the author based this on China's only female emperor. It's kind of like a retelling. And then another book that I might possibly read for that video is Obis Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is the 2nd book in the 5th season series. Basically, in this world, there are these things called 5th seasons where basically the earth gets really mad and it's like, I don't really like what's going on. It's sort of like a kind of a natural disaster happens and it's really bad for the people living on the earth. And so I'm sorry, I'm just realizing I'm doing such a bad job of describing this. Anyway, in this book, we're following these people who can like control the earth, like control rocks. And so they're the only people that can kind of like aid in like stopping the 5th season. And yeah, I'm considering reading this for that vlog as well, because I really want to continue in this series. I want to slay this series, if you will. I'm sorry, my brain for some reason is just like not working today. I feel like I'm not giving very good book plots, which is weird because with the 5th season, I actually do know what this series is about. Up next, we have a very anticipated sequel that I'm so excited to read, and that is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I'm definitely reading this in that video because I want to know if this is worth the hype. I've been hearing that people are liking this even better than the first book. So in the first book, we're following Emily Wilde, and she is an academic that studies fairies. And so she's traveling to this northern village that's kind of a snowy area. And when she gets there, she offends the villagers. And it's kind of a problem because she needs them to conduct her research because she's writing an encyclopedia. And then her academic rival, Wendell, shows up, and he is her rival because he often steals her work, and he's just a little bit just silly. He's just a silly guy, and their banter is absolutely great. And so he ends up helping her do her research. And so in this book, they are doing a little bit more exploring. It's called Map of the Otherlands because she's actually making a map because they're trying to kind of like explore like the outer part of Fairy and whatnot. And so this is just kind of delving into more of their adventures. And I just love the series so much. I love all the characters. They're all so charming. Like even the side characters are so great, and there are animal companions, and I love them so much. I love everybody in this, and I cannot wait to read this. And then finally, the other sequel that I want to get to is book 6 of the Anne of Green Gables series. This actually probably won't be for a video. This is just kind of for my own personal reading. But I really need to get back to the series. I haven't read any of the books since I believe 2022. It's been a while, and I really want to read more of this. I kind of want to reread the whole series, but there are 8 books and I'm still only now on like book 6. Also, this cover is so fitting for spring. I feel like I would have to pick this up. Another vlog that I'm going to be doing on my channel, I don't know what month, but hopefully just sometime in spring, is I'm going to be doing a video where I reread my questionable favorites, because I have been on booktube since 2015, so there are quite a few books that I really put my full chest into saying they were my favorites. And so I want to reread some of the books that I've always sworn were like my all-time favorites and just see if they're still good in my mind. The first one being Angel Fault. When I first read this series, the grip that I had on me, it was unstoppable. This is basically a world where angels have like invaded and taken over, and so our main character is a girl named Penryn, and she's just kind of trying to survive. She's taking care of her younger sister and her mother, who has some mental health issues. She comes across this guy named Raffi, who is a warrior angel, and I think he's like missing wings, and so she's kind of like, they like team up together. I don't know, it's like YA post-apocalyptic vibes, and I just remember this being like the best series I've ever read in my life. Like I remember, like I used to say like Penryn was one of like my favorite female characters. The first time I read these, I physically read them. I don't know if there was audiobooks back then, but I know that I physically read them and I got them from the library, and so I kind of want to go back and listen to the audiobook, and I'll have to let you guys know if it's good. I do remember people more recently saying that the mental health rep of her mother is a little bit suspect. Her mother, I believe, has schizophrenia. I'll look into it when I read it. And then also for that video, I want to read Shiver Dreamer, because this duology, again, the grip that I had on me, like these two series, like I loved them so much when I read them. Obviously this happened a little more recently, and so in this book we're following a guy named Laszlo, and he's a librarian, and he is very obsessed with the concept of this place called Weep. It's kind of like Atlantis, where kind of scholars debate on whether or not it actually existed. One day he gets an opportunity to go to Weep, and so when he gets there he finds out that it's like not quite what he thought. From my memory, it's an amazing duology, and I've always been meaning to reread it. This one's not as much of a questionable fave because, like I said, I did read it more recently. Okay, so that's basically all the books that I know that I want to read. Now I'm going to show you guys my unconventional TBR jar. I'm pretty excited about it because I just wanted to think outside of the box. I wanted it to be interesting. So basically I'm going to be doing a vlog where I only can pick books from the TBR jar. Okay, I hope we don't mind that I turned off the ring light because it was shining on this, so it was being weird. But basically my TBR jar is a claw machine. I got this off of Amazon. It was like $40. If you want one, I'll link it down below. But basically I got this and I filled it up with little bubbles that have books inside them. My patrons all told me books that they'd want me to do. So this is basically gonna be like TBR takeover, but TBR jar takeover. And so I'm gonna do one vlog on my main channel, and then I'll do one on Patreon, and then moving forward, it's gonna be like a Patreon series. If you're a headphones user, you're definitely gonna want to turn down the volume because this thing does not have volume control. So let's go ahead and pick the first book that will start off the vlog that I'll probably post next month. There we go. Oh, no, no. Okay. I only had a minute to get it and it was like counting down and I was so stressed. Anyway, okay, I got one of the books. So I have Fantastic Land, but Julia recommended this. So Fantastic Land is going to be the first book that I read for that vlog, which I am a little bit excited. I don't know anything about this book, but Julia did mention that the audiobook for it is really good. So that brings me to the end of what I hope is the first of many seasonal TBR videos. I hope that you guys like this content that I'm trying on my channel. I don't know, I've just been enjoying sharing a little bit more, letting you guys know what I'm working on. But yeah, if you've made it to the end and you enjoyed it, feel free to use the crab emoji because crabs have claws and we have a claw machine here. So I feel like that would be a fun little emoji for you to put in your comment. But I thank you all so much for watching. You're all beautiful. Have a nice day.